Your daily dose of sports talk is here. Highlights, interviews, and analysis. From the entertainment capital of the world, SportsWrap with Jason Page starts now.
And we welcome you to this Monday edition of the show. And so great to have you with us all across the U.S. and Canada and wherever you may be watching, courtesy of the SportsWrap with Jason Page YouTube channel, which of all the days of the year, really the next few days, is when you really want to make sure you're subscribed to the SportsWrap with Jason Page YouTube channel. And I'll explain why coming up in just a moment. A lot to do over the next 60 minutes. Jerry Bonkowski will be here later in the show. Somebody other than Tyler Reddick won a NASCAR race for the 2026 season, so we'll get into that with him. Also be joined by our friend Bill Bender of the Sporting News. Joins us every Monday to talk college basketball. We'll get into it with him on college hoops and maybe even a little NFL and college football because there is so much going on throughout the football world today. World Baseball Classic, we'll get into that coming up here and also in odds and ends. Akshay Bhatia, a winner on the PGA Tour. Talk about that too as we head into Players Championship week. But we do have to tell you, of all the days of the year this week, with NFL free agency taking place, we have a 45-minute TV show. But the show never ends on our YouTube channel, the SportsWrap with Jason Page YouTube channel. And I bring that up because news is breaking throughout the day when it comes to NFL free agency. You're going to watch the show and say, well, they didn't talk about this guy or they didn't talk about that guy, because it may have happened after we put the show together. It's one of the disadvantages to just doing a regular TV show. But one of the advantages of our YouTube channel is as news breaks throughout the day, we will have it for you on the SportsWrap with Jason Page YouTube channel. So go and subscribe if you have not done so already. The SportsWrap with Jason Page YouTube channel, SportsWrap shorts throughout the day, covering the top NFL stories and anything else that breaks in the world of sports. All right, with that being said, let's get things started on this Monday edition of the show. As we always do, it's time for the big story. And the big story is twofold. One, it's NFL free agency, which officially begins in a couple of days, but legal tampering begins today. Basically, that means you can start negotiating deals. You can't announce them until Wednesday. Obviously, a lot of moves over the weekend garnered a lot of attention. Maxx Crosby being traded from the Raiders to the Ravens. The Cowboys not offering that second first-round pick and allowing Crosby to go to the Ravens instead of getting him for themselves. But then they go and make a move on Monday morning and bring in Rashawn Gary, great edge rusher. Obviously not the caliber of Maxx Crosby, but still starting to address the needs that they have to go and fill these voids for them in this offseason. Remember, this is a team that lost Micah Parsons. They did not want to part ways with a second first-round draft pick the way the Ravens were willing to, as the Ravens decided they were just a Maxx Crosby away potentially from winning an NFL championship, a Super Bowl. So they decide to go the route of trading 2 first-round picks for Maxx Crosby. For the Raiders, this was a no-brainer. You get 2 first-round picks on top of what you already have, bringing in Fernando Mendoza, a new head coach. I thought John Spytek did a brilliant job in making this maneuver happen and being able to get the max for Max, pun totally intended, and now it's just on him to make the right decisions in this offseason when it comes to the draft, with the haul of draft picks, and with free agency. We'll see how the Raiders do in that regard. Again, all the NFL stuff, we'll have some coming up for you in the next segment. But again, our SportsWrap with Jason Page YouTube channel, the place to go for the latest news there. Now to baseball. The World Baseball Classic is fully underway now. You've got pool play going on. Some teams have already punched their ticket into the knockout stage, and it's great. But I've been watching with great interest over the last few days. And something I said last week when we had David Ardsma on the show that got a lot of attention from people was the idea that I didn't feel like the U.S. was in it to win it. I didn't feel like the United States was trying to, or was prioritizing this the way other countries do. And that has continued to play out here throughout this entire World Baseball Classic. Go look at the way they're celebrating in Japan. at these games over there in Asia. Go and look at the way these things play out in the Dominican Republic and Puerto Rico and the way those games are being played. The amount of pride that you see in every country but the United States, where, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying they don't care at all. That's not what I'm trying to say. But it's impossible to argue, just watching the reactions and the celebrations and the amount of energy put in by both the fan bases of these countries and the players wearing the jersey and wearing the name across their chest of the countries that they're playing for. This just plays different. It hits harder. It plays bigger for countries like the Dominican Republic, Puerto Rico, Japan, Korea, Chinese Taipei, even Brazil, Israel. You saw the joy with Israel now being eligible for the next World Baseball Classic. And meanwhile, you've got guys like Bryce Harper who are out there in press conferences talking about the fact that, well, the World Baseball Classic is nice, but it's not the Olympics. And the Olympics is where it's at. And we need to get baseball in the... Look, baseball, there's a very good chance baseball will be in the next round of the Olympics when it comes up for discussion. But that sort of comment from Bryce Harper tells me these guys just aren't fully invested. Maybe some are more than others. But when one of the faces of your team in Bryce Harper is talking about the Olympics and saying, hey, no offense to the World Baseball Classic, but ... I'm about to offend the World Baseball Classic is essentially what he's saying. No offense to the World Baseball Classic. It's very interesting to me to watch the dynamic in these games where the U.S. is playing in Houston, what used to be known as Minute Maid Park, versus the dynamic in these other stadiums. And you can't tell me that it just doesn't play different with all these other countries as opposed to the way it plays for the U.S. team. And it's great. Aaron Judge hit a home run, and that's all wonderful. It's weird to see fans in Houston cheering for Aaron Judge hitting a home run there. But it just plays different in these other places. And to me, that energy, that enthusiasm, it is a part of the process of winning this thing. And while as much as I'd love to see the United States win it this year, you watch the energy and the enthusiasm around this World Baseball Classic with some of these other countries. I think in some cases where the talent is close, that could be a factor that carries some of these other teams across the finish line. We'll continue to follow the World Baseball Classic. More on it in odds and ends later on in the show. But when we come back, we're talking some NFL. Sam Yarnell is here next. Welcome back to the show. Bill Bender, 10 minutes from now to talk college hoops. NFL free agency really kicks into gear today, even though it doesn't officially begin for a couple of days. Today is where we're already seeing tons of activity, and I will remind you again what I said at the top of the show. SportsWrap with Jason Page YouTube channel. You want to be subscribed to the SportsWrap with Jason Page YouTube channel, because we cannot possibly cover everything as it's all breaking throughout the entire day. SportsWrap with Jason Page YouTube channel, up to date with the latest moves with SportsWrap Shorts. Again, 1 to 3 minute long videos, very quick, updating you as free agency breaks down the latest trades, maneuvers. We've got it all covered there for you. Sam Yarnell joins us for the first time on the show today. With the NFL free agency beginning, the negotiating window, legal tampering, and before we even started putting the show together today, which we put together pretty early in the morning, Sam, the activity has been fast and furious. Rashawn Gary moving from Green Bay to Dallas as the Cowboys pick up an edge rusher, a guy who's had, 15 sacks over the last 2 years. And the Cowboys had to go and do that because they didn't do what they should have done, which was trade for Maxx Crosby. Or maybe this was the smarter move, spreading out their assets and spreading out, the kind of money they want to spend throughout free agency and being able to use that first-round draft pick to go and improve themselves. It feels like the Cowboys have some sort of roadmap that they're willing to follow, and it didn't include giving up 2 first-round picks for Maxx Crosby. Let's start with the Crosby news from the weekend because that was the big story.
Yeah. Okay. The Crosby thing is it's fascinating, right? Like it from both sides. I think that this is one of the moves that because of the timing, Jason, and because of maybe it's the two teams involved, maybe it's their lack of I'm sorry for our friends watching in Las Vegas, but it's the truth. Maybe it's their lack of relevancy over this past season or seasons past, the few seasons leading up to this, right? I don't know what it is, but this seems to be so under talked about, underreported. We had 2 first round picks traded. When's the last time? Oh, wait. The last time we had 2 first round picks traded was at the beginning of this season when Micah Parsons was traded out of Dallas. But the point stands, right? You look at Las Vegas, and they very clearly have this direction that they're headed in. I, being, Las Vegas Raiders number 1 right now, as Jason is nodding his head, he's completely in agreement. Yep. This is the right move for them. It is.
Thank you.
You are stockpiling. That is exactly what you need to do if you're the Las Vegas Raiders, because I'll tell you what, that offense is still good enough to be competitive as early as this year. You've got enough young assets in that offense that if you put the right people in the right places with Clint Kubiak, man, you can be competitive as early as this year. I'm confident in it with that offense from an offensive perspective. Now you focus your attention on the defense, and you've got people in place to line up that defense to be competitive over the next couple of years. And now you've got the assets to build it. You've done what the Los Angeles Rams did for years and years and years in making themselves competitive. You've stockpiled the capital. You're building the capital. This is exactly what the modern NFL is all about, and the Raiders are doing it perfectly, Jason.
There is still one thing you are relying on heavily, though, here, and it's John Spytek and this player personnel group making the right decisions now.
True.
When it comes to the draft and when it comes to free agency. There's no getting around. You can put yourself in stockpile draft picks and get yourself all this cap space. It's all great. You still have to hit when it comes to the draft, and you still have to hit when it comes to free agency. And that's still the big unknown in all of this.
But I'll say this. Drafted Maxx Crosby, right? Objectively a top 3 player at his position in the NFL. Drafted Brock Bowers, objectively a top 2 player in his position at the NFL. I'll say 3. Maybe people want to throw, I don't know, maybe people still want to throw Travis Kelce in that mix. I don't know why. And then you've got Ashton Genty, who I think everyone agrees is a very talented back in the league, right? You've lined yourself up for Mendoza. I'm building confidence in Spytek. I know it doesn't mean a lot coming from Las Vegas Raiders guy number 1 on the program. I'll say from the other side, very interesting from a Ravens perspective. Now, I get it. It feels like this is their last-ditch effort, right? This is the chance that they have before their window closes. You had the talk that Lamar was going to leave. We got through that, right? You've got Kyle Hamilton. Now you've got Maxx Crosby. You've got the 2 stalwarts on defense. You've got Lamar Jackson. You've got Derrick Henry. You've got the 2 stalwarts on offense. They're going for it this year, and this may be the end of their window.
I like the move by the Cowboys to get Rashawn Gary. Pair him with Kenny Clark. I'm very happy with what the Cowboys have done from that perspective. They have a few needs. They've now addressed one of those needs already before free agency even officially gets started. I am curious to get your thoughts on what the Jets did, because as much as everybody's talking about the Tua situation with him being let go, it's the Jets and the move for Minkah Fitzpatrick that, kind of flies under the radar in the Dolphins sort of world of news today. The Jets getting Fitzpatrick is an interesting one.
And me being a Bills fan, right, always thinking about this from an AFC East perspective, and what does it mean? First of all, the Dolphins, we'll get to them in a second. They're fire sale. If you want anything from the Dolphins, go get it now, because it's massive discounts being given out down in Miami. From the Jets' perspective, I get it. I get that they are turning the defense over to Aaron Glenn. He's calling the plays this year. Maybe he wanted to go out and get his own guy. The number is and the number's high, and you're going to be a bad team, so maybe you want to eat that number. I'm very confused, Jason, by the timing of it all, right? Minkah Fitzpatrick made very clear the last time that he changed teams, when he went from the Steelers to the Dolphins, that he wanted to win. Like, that was the most important thing to him. And at the time, like, let's give him credit. The Dolphins were lined up, we thought, to be a very competitive team. They got a little bit unlucky here and there, and now they have to blow everything up. But going to the Jets, I wonder if he was confronted with an opportunity. You'll either be able to not make as much money on a competitive team or make the same amount of money on a non-competitive team, and he chose the Jets. But I was perplexed by this in-division trade for a guy making a lot of money who still, I believe, got some talent.
There are going to be so many moves over the next couple of days. And again, we're going to do our best to cover them here. But again, Sports Wrap with Jason Page YouTube channel. We will have it all covered there for you throughout the day. So make sure to stay tuned for that. We will talk more about the Tua Tagovailoa release with the Dolphins chewing up and eating up $99 million as a result. Bill Bender will join us later in the show. Matter of fact, he'll join us in a couple of minutes. We'll talk with him about that and college basketball next. Welcome back to the show. Take a break from the NFL ever so slightly. Talk about some college basketball, because if it's a Monday on Sports Wrap, it means Bill Bender is here from the Sporting News. He does a terrific job. Our Johnny on the spot for college football and college basketball. All right, let's jump into it. UConn loses at Marquette. Combine that with the loss at home against Creighton, which was a bad loss. They win the Big East tournament? Are they still a 1 seed? Give me the formula. Could UConn still wind up a 1 seed, or have they basically been relegated to that 2 seed with this loss against Marquette?
Well, it'll be tough to be a 1. I think they have to win the Big East tournament, and they probably need Florida to lose at this point. Florida's playing as good as anybody with their front line in the SEC, and I think they're quad 1. When you talk about teams that have won double digits in quad 1, it's those. I think Michigan and Duke could take the week off and they're still number 1 seeds. Arizona and Florida have some level of work to do, because I think if Houston were to win the Big 12 tournament, they would be in the discussion as well. So it puts UConn in a tough spot, because as I was doing the seeding, it's like, well, St. John's won the regular season. How can you make St. John's a 5 and make UConn a 1? That math doesn't add up.
The Hurley stuff gets old for me. I've said this time and time again. The latest example of it is just, it's almost like he just lives for these moments of getting in front of the camera and being the center of attention and having these, crazy fits. These childlike tantrums. He gets fined $25,000. And look, if he hadn't won a couple of national championships, this sort of shtick would be old really fast. Does UConn just continue putting up with it just because he wins? And a secondary question on that, I still say this to this day, he's going to regret not taking the NBA job when he could have after the second national title. Because it's all, it feels like it's all kind of plateaued from here, if not going downhill eventually.
That's a pretty good plateau, though, to be right in the conversation as a number 1 seed and, have two of the greatest, one of the greatest teams in NCAA history, the one that blasted everybody by double digits. So I get what you're saying about that, though. At a certain point, I can't make a Bob Knight comparison here. Bob Knight was a different universe when it comes to that kind of stuff on the sideline and the rating officials. But the more times it happens, you had the thing that happened in the tunnel last year, and then you have this, and the game was, I guess, decided. But I don't know if bad look's the right word, or he's not going to change. Nobody changes. But maybe tone it down just a touch, right? And be serious as we get into the NCAA tournament and beyond.
Sam, go ahead.
Objectively, the funniest moment of the college basketball weekend was when Dan Hurley and Bobby Hurley, they were doing the split screen, and they were both getting ejected at the same time. It was awesome. It was great. College basketball needs, well, I can't say more of that because I don't agree with that. But you get the point anyway. Bill, one of the other games of the weekend, yesterday between Michigan and Michigan State, And a little bit of a controversial moment for Jeremy Fears in this one. Obviously, the kicking thing. He's got there's the questionable, past, and then Izzo comes out in the post-game press conference and says, I don't make anything of it. It was a basketball play. Bill, we've got another example of a Michigan State player getting too physical on the court. What did you make of the move from Fears yesterday, and what did you take away from Michigan State?
Well, with Fears, I mean, he's labeled now, like Grayson Allen was, and Draymond Green was.
That's exactly what I was thinking of, was Grayson Allen.
It's less Draymond Green and more Grayson Allen to me, because it detracts from what is a brilliant point guard, right? Like, he's the key to their NCAA tournament, Big Ten tournament hopes. He's a really fantastic player. But when this keeps happening, every time it's going to be blown out of proportion. Even if he accidentally swings his leg up at this point, we're going to think it's dirty. On the other hand, the other end of this is, and I say this all the time, living in Central Ohio, Michigan, Ohio State's the national rivalry, the one that we all pay attention to. It is not more nasty than Michigan State. That is one of the nastiest rivalries in football. It's one of the nastiest rivalries in basketball. It was huge for Michigan to get that sweep, which they haven't done in more than a decade. They could have lost and we would have still said Big Ten champs, but Michigan State might have, wiggled into the number one seed conversation. Now the Wolverines, like I said, it doesn't matter what they do in the Big Ten tournament. That's a number one seed.
Another just crazy moment maybe I'm realizing through the questions I'm asking you, Bill, I may spend just a little bit too much time on the internet, but an objectively crazy moment in the mid-majors this weekend. It was in the Patriot League semifinals between Navy and Boston University. So Navy's going down with about 5 seconds left. They get a layup to take the lead, 72-70 over Boston. Boston inbounds the ball, takes 3 dribbles up the court, puts up a heave, and it goes in. The discussion online, however, Bill, is that the clock operator did not start the clock. It was on Navy's home court, and the Navy clock operator did not start the clock in time and potentially gave BU an extra second and a half to get the shot off. What did you make of this viral clip that everybody seems to have an opinion on?
That's March. It's March. I mean, Lehigh won a game on a half-court shot that I showed that to my son, and I said, that what kind of form is that? It looks like he just shot-putted it up there and it went in. And, this is the deal when you do bracketology and those kind of things. Like last night, I was like, man, Navy's gone. Belmont's gone. These were teams that we were eyeballing for the tournament for a month. And Navy had done a fantastic job, but now you have this situation where that league got blown up, and it's amazing. This is the bet. I would put this up against anything. I think this week is better than next week. I love the conference tournament week, especially these small conference, because of the moments like you just mentioned.
You got a team outside of Miami of Ohio that we'll get into in the next segment. Do you have a team in particular that you're watching that could be a big bubble burster here in conference tournament week?
I know we all rush to try to get, hey, I was the first one to call it. You know what I mean? And at this time of year, we all try to call every 11, 12, 13 seed. But I mean, Northern Illinois or Northern Iowa doing what they did. And we've seen them do it before. That's a solid team. And the way that they went through their conference tournament, which was somewhat unexpected, they're going to cause some people some problems. Now, I know we'll talk about Miami next, and we can get into the reasons why they will be a problem, but we'll do that later.
All right, Bill Bender hanging out for one more segment, talking college basketball with him. It's conference tournament week. Lots more to do on SportsWrap. Don't go anywhere. Coming up in 10 minutes, Jerry Bonkowski talks NASCAR. Somebody other than Tyler Reddick won a race this week. Bill Bender, conversation continues with him. The Sporting News does a terrific job on all things college football, college basketball. He's your everything guy. We call these guys glue guys on the show. So Miami of Ohio, I hope you didn't mind. I hope you didn't mind my texting you incessantly on Friday night as I was sitting in my darkened living room watching Ohio University try to knock off Miami as the only unbeaten left in college basketball. What a terrific college basketball game, though. And you said it was, arguably the best game we've seen in this entire college basketball season. And, it's these two teams that nobody would otherwise at the beginning of the season even be thinking of, Bill.
Yeah, and I'm glad that, my alma mater, Ohio University, brought a lot of casual viewers into the world of Athens, Ohio, and how the convo works at 9:00 at night after the students had all day, who they stayed before leaving for spring break to go hit Court Street for a while.
Crazy.
And created an amazing environment that Miami was able to win the game. All respect to the Red Hawks. They made the shots. Now, between my text with you and then when my text with my editors and then my text with my OU buddies, those were three very different threads. And the one with the OU buddies went from we kind of like Miami by the end of the night. I hope they lose. I hope they're a bubble team. It was all that. But what a wonderful team they really are. And they should be in the tournament no matter what happens this week.
It's just crazy that we're having this conversation. Right. That you even have to put in that sentence at the end.
Right.
Is just mind-boggling to me. And I get it. They're like 352 out of 355 in terms of strength of schedule. I get it. But they're a Division I team that goes undefeated in the regular season. They have to be in the tournament, Bill.
Yeah, and they've won their last 3 games by 2 points, and sometimes that happens when you're undefeated. Ohio, that would have been a season maker. It would have been the Court Street Bars would have had a very nice night. Pavletsky had a great game.
Oh, he was great.
Where else? I think we were texting back and forth, and I was just willing that ball to go in the basket there at the end. But wonderful game by him and a wonderful response by Miami. Obviously, a lot's being made about the end of the game, but I'll say it this both ways. As somebody that may or may not have sat in that student section a few times when he was in college, I have a pretty good idea what those Miami players were hearing. But still got to ignore it. I mean, that's what we were all talking about afterward instead of, hey, they're 31-0. It was, hey, look at these guys and how they responded to the OU student section.
Yeah, they were feeling themselves pretty good. Sam, go ahead.
So, real quick, on the Miami thing, I know that, everyone's talking about if they lose, will they get... Do you think they're going to lose in the MAC tournament? I know they're not the favorites to win the whole thing, but, Bill, you pay attention to the MAC better than, anyone else. Do you think that Miami's going to win the MAC tournament or not?
They should. Akron will be a factor in that with John Gross, who, by the way, I believe John Gross and Travis Steele are brother-in-law or something. There's a relationship there, and they definitely coached, off that Xavier coaching tree. So that will be interesting if those two cross paths. I mean, there's a chance that Ohio may play Miami again, and what better way to spoil it than get round 3, those kind of things. So they'll have some landmines in the MAC tournament, but what it creates, if you're a bubble team like an Auburn or an Indiana or New Mexico right now, you want Miami to win the MAC tournament.
Yeah.
You want them not. So, because I'm telling you, if Miami loses, there should be, and I think there will be, 2 MAC tournament teams. And that's what VCU and St. Louis better be paying attention to, too.
Sam, I know you got another Miami-related question. Go ahead.
Yeah, other Miami, unfortunately. We'll go from the cold of Oxford, Ohio, to the sunny beaches of South Beach, Bill. The huge story out of the NFL on Monday morning. Obviously, the Dolphins are taking on the largest dead cap hit in NFL history and releasing Tua Tagovailoa. My question for you is, if you were the Dolphins and you had just cut ties with Tua, would you be looking to draft a quarterback in this coming draft class in a couple of months, or would you wait it out a year for the next draft class in 2027? And if so, who are some names that may stand out to you?
Well, if you're Jeff Hafley, it comes down to one question, given the ties to Green Bay and the front office ties to Green Bay. I think we'll have an answer on how they really feel about Malik Willis. You know what I mean? If Malik Willis goes down to Miami, that means they really saw enough there and that he could be a guy that could start for them for a few years, and that's the plan. And I actually like that fit if they go there. Now, if they don't, and also you could go with Malik, and if it doesn't work out, you draft one of those quarterbacks from the next class. So it's going to include, guys like Arch Manning, Julian Sayin, Trinidad Chambliss. I mean, you're going to be pretty loaded there and have some options. So I think that's what it says. The Tua news is not a surprise. I think, there was always some hesitancy about signing him the first time. And, that was with the concussion concerns and all of that. I hope Tua does well at his next stop. But I think, to me, the Miami thing is we'll get a barometer about what Malik Willis really is and what his market value is, judging by their decision.
It's going to be a fun few days for those that love the NFL and follow the NFL, because there is going to be so much movement here, and there already has been so much movement, Bill, here over the last couple of days. The Maxx Crosby thing, we talked about it in segment 2. Was fascinating to watch, what the Raiders decided to do. I thought it was a great move by the Raiders. I think when you can get 2 firsts, I think it's a no-brainer. It's going to be interesting. Trey Hendrickson still sitting out there. That's the next big chip to fall defensively, it feels like. And it'll be fascinating to see who goes and gets themselves Trey Hendrickson as well. Bill Bender does a great job. The sporting news, all things college football. We even threw the NFL logos up there for him as well, because he'll talk about anything. We always appreciate you, my friend. Have yourself a great week. We'll catch up next week when we've got some brackets to break down. Welcome back to this Monday edition of the show. Fridays and Mondays, we have NASCAR covered for you. We preview the race on Fridays with Tino Patino. We recap it with this guy, Jerry Bonkowski, EssentiallySports.com. He does a great job on NASCAR. Has for many decades. We'll just leave it at that. Many decades. I've been talking to him for over 20 years. It's hard to believe.
You're trying to tell me that you're young enough to be my son? Is that what you're trying to tell me?
Hey, look. If we're lucky enough if we last this long in the industry and we're still getting paid on some level to talk about what the hell we get to talk about, we're doing all right. That's the way true. I look at it these days.
That's right.
Ryan Blaney, somebody other than Tyler Reddick, finally won a race. It just didn't feel like he had the car for it yesterday. In my opinion, it just felt like his car was sort of second tier. As I was texting with a friend who was at the race in Phoenix yesterday, and he was saying the same thing. It just felt like he was sort of in that second tier yesterday. And look, he still, what did he finish? What did he wind up finishing? 10, 12? 8. He was top 10. So he was top 10, which, considering the car he had and all the madness that ensued there yesterday, isn't a bad finish for Ryan Blaney by any stretch of the imagination. But give me your thoughts on Blaney winning, the way this whole thing broke down yesterday.
Well, first of all, I got to say this. We can finally throw the conspiracy theories about Michael Jordan and Reddick. They were going to win all the races because of the lawsuit. We can finally throw that stuff out the window. Reddick does not win a race. Okay, we're good. We're over that. Blaney, it kind of surprised me because he's always done very well. I was not really that aware of how well he's done in Phoenix. He's got the 2 wins now, but get this, Jason, 21 starts there. He's been in the top 10 15 times, including the 2 wins. And I think it's been, 11, if I'm not mistaken, top 5s. This guy knows that track really well. So it really wasn't a surprise that he wound up winning the race. But I think that you're going to see a big resurgence from Team Penske this year. I mean, Logano, he had a horrible year last year after winning the championship in 22 and 24. Blaney wins the title in 22. 25 was just an off year for both of those guys. And then on top of it all, we had Joseph Newgarden in the rare crossover weekend. He wins the IndyCar race at Phoenix on Saturday. All in all, I think it was a great weekend for Phoenix. It was a great race, great weekend for NASCAR and IndyCar. I'd love to see a lot more of these crossover events.
Yeah, I would like to see a lot more of it too, because I think IndyCar gets short shrift. And I know they're trying to kind of break through here in the U.S., and NASCAR kind of still takes all the oxygen out of it when it comes to racing in the United States. It would be great to see IndyCar get more run here. Let me ask you on you mentioned Logano briefly. He had the top spot for this week, as far as qualifying was concerned. Obviously, he gets caught up in a wreck that it looked like it was kind of his fault if you kind of look at the way that wreck sort of took place, Jerry.
Well, Joey is such an aggressive driver.
Yes, he is.
I'm sorry, what?
I said, yes, he is.
But the thing about it is, to be successful like he is, he's won 3 championships, you have to be aggressive. And sometimes you get overly aggressive. Sometimes you make a mistake. Sometimes you're the bear. Sometimes the bear bites you. So that's kind of what happened yesterday. It's not the first time we've seen this from Logano. It's not going to be the last. But, he definitely had a good weekend. It was just a good weekend overall for the whole Penske operation, IndyCar and NASCAR. Yeah, you'd like to have seen Logano be there maybe for the win. But, again, aggression sometimes – you got to pay the price sometimes, and he did that yesterday.
Thoughts on Christopher Bell and Kyle Larson? Larson was in the mix very much yesterday. There were multiple restarts where it kind of felt like this might be his chance to sort of make a push. It's kind of interesting. He finished third. He didn't lead for a single lap of the race, but he finishes third, and Christopher Bell, also right there just above him, led for 176 laps in this race. He does well, cleans up as far as points are concerned. Bubba Wallace, we keep mentioning Bubba. Another good finish for Bubba. 6th place, 37 points for him in the race. There's a lot of guys that came out of this with some good news yesterday, it felt like.
They really did. I mean, Reddick still has a 60-point lead over Ryan Blaney, but still, we're only 4 races into the season. I mean, we got Vegas coming up this coming weekend. It's a little too early to tell, but there's an old adage in NASCAR, and I'm sure you've probably heard this over the years, that you really don't know what the season's going to be like until you get through the 5th or 6th race. Once you get maybe a sixth of the season done, that's when you know what your teams have, who's going to be the contenders, who's going to have a tough go of it. Right now, we've got a lot of guys who are contenders. Even with Reddick's 3 wins, I mean, you've seen a lot of improvement from guys. In my opinion, you've seen a lot of improvement from guys like a Kyle Larson. He's had some issues this year, but he's ready to do it. Chase Elliott, we're still kind of a work in progress. Christopher Bell, we had Chase Briscoe, unfortunately got into the wreck yesterday. There's a lot of guys I think that you're going to see some very big positive things coming out of them over the next 3 to 5 races, and then we're going to really know who's going to be the guys to go for and watch, and who's going to be the guys that really need to work at things. You know what I'm saying?
Look ahead real quick in the final minute I have with you at Vegas. Sort of the way this sets up for this weekend. Who do you like? Kyle Larson's done very well at this track, obviously. Give me some thoughts real quick as we get ready to say goodbye.
Only one guy I'm going to talk about, Kyle Busch. This guy needs a win in the worst way. What better place than hometown USA? You know what I'm saying? And he did pretty well until he got in the wreck yesterday as well, too. But I think Kyle Busch just needs one win, and what better place for it to be than at his home track? That could turn his entire season, could turn almost his last 3 years around with just one win. So he's the guy I'm looking for in this race.
I'm rooting for him, but you just start to wonder, is it ever going to happen again? I mean, I think it's fair to start wondering that. It's nice to be sentimental and think, hey, maybe Kyle Busch, yay, but it's like Jerry Bonkowski does a great job. NASCAR, essentiallysports.com. Check him out there. Always appreciate you, my friend. Have a great week. We'll talk next week.
And here's my iPhone case. You wanted to show that?
I love it. That's the greatest iPhone case. It's fitting of you, my friend. Thanks. Have a great week.
All right, man. Take care.
Just about time to put the wraps on this baby for a Monday. Again, couple of reminders. Sports Wrap with Jason Page, the podcast. If you're not already subscribed, get in there and subscribe. The audio version of the show, wherever you get your podcasts, Monday through Friday, it's available early each afternoon. Again, subscribe. We appreciate it. But on days like today, I am going to hammer you guys. If you're not already doing so, subscribe to the Sports Wrap with Jason Page YouTube channel. We cannot possibly cover all of the NFL activity in the 45 minutes of this show in the window in which we record it. By the time you see the show on TV, there's going to be so much news breaking throughout the day. We're getting to as much of it as we can right now, but there is going to be so much news throughout the day. The Sports Wrap with Jason Page YouTube channel is the place for all of that news because we have Sports Wrap shorts there. Yes, the Monday through Friday TV version of the show is there, and you can watch Monday through Friday, commercial-free, 45 minutes of the TV show. But days like today, Sports Wrap shorts are vital. News breaks, we jump in with a Sports Wrap short. They're quick, 1 to 3 minutes long, quick analysis, the news as it breaks throughout the day. That available on our SportsWrap with Jason Page YouTube channel. SportsWrap Shorts also available on our TikTok, SportsWrap Jason Page, and on our Instagram, SportsWrap Jason Page. And now, without any further delay, ladies and gentlemen, on this Monday, it's time for some odds and ends. Odds and ends, Sam Yarnell. Akshay Bhatia, your winner at the Arnold Palmer Bay Hill Invitational. Congratulations to him, Daniel Berger. Batia's third win. I love watching him play. He's a guy that I'm hoping is going to win a major one day. I'm a huge Akshay Bhatia fan. Couldn't be happier for him getting the win at Arnie's tournament.
Yeah, it was awesome for Akshay. Obviously, yeah, like you said, long time coming. He has had a very awesome early career, right, so far. Has a great off the course life too. Super active on social media. Love all of his content and stuff. Think he does a great job with that. But this was so tough. I was watching this live and it was so hard to watch. Daniel Berger hit that shot on 18. Oh my gosh, it's hard reliving it right now. And then pulling up to the playoff hole, and you know how it went from there. Just not good.
Back-to-back weeks. Shane Lowry last week and Daniel Berger this week.
Gosh, I didn't even think about that.
If I could have the throw up emoji. Well, there we go. Throw up emoji on the screen. Thank you.
That's so funny. I didn't even think about that, Jason, but it's a good point. The PGA Tour this time of year, this swing, right? It's ruthless. We see this happen to guys, and 2 weeks in a row, that's tough.
Yeah, it certainly is. World Baseball Classic. I talked about it in the big story. I know you would spend a lot of time on this if we had more time on it today. Talk to me about what we have seen in this World Baseball Classic, Sam, because it has been fantastic.
Jason, it's been the most exciting thing for us true baseball fans. Every 3 years, it is one of the best things that happens to the sport of baseball. It's incredible seeing these guys come out and just turn a baseball field into a party in literally 4 corners of the world. It's awesome to watch. We got incredible performances over the weekend. Louis Arise, multi-homer game. Who knew he had that in the bag? Here's a fun fact for you. Louis Arise, the first player yet so far right now, the only player in WBC history with multiple multi-homer games in the WBC. Who would have thought that Louis Arise, of all people? We also got our first walk-off home run of in WBC history over the weekend. Credit to Ozzie Albies, and it was followed up like a couple of hours later with the second walk-off home run in WBC history. This tournament is awesome. It is everything that is right in the world with baseball. Everything down to the ice cream sandwiches from the Tokyo Dome going viral on the internet over the weekend. And if you haven't seen them yet, look them up. They look delicious.
Cuba, Puerto Rico, Mexico, Italy, Japan and Chinese Taipei are locked in for the knockout round. Venezuela and the Dominican Republic have played well. Israel, congratulations to them. They will qualify for the next WBC by virtue of their win over there in Pool D. That's cool. It has been a lot of fun to watch. Aaron Judge hit a home run in his first WBC at bat. And then he took out a panel. And then he took out a panel.
Wait. That wasn't the Aaron Judge highlight that we need to talk about. Let's talk about the Aaron Judge got sawed off by a 16-year-old and grounded into a double play. 17. Sorry. He had to go to algebra class on Monday.
He's 17 and really, he's probably really 30 because we never know the real age of these guys. 17 years old, Contreras.
That is what's awesome about this tournament, man. That is what rocks about this.
That really is wild. The kid from Brazil, who's the son of a former Major League pitcher as well.
Yes. Son of a guy who I believe started a World Series game for the White Sox back in the day.
Absolutely. So it has been a lot of fun to watch. I'll get more plugged into it this week than I have been the first few days because it started really on kind of Thursday, Friday-ish. I'll be more plugged in though as we go into it here over the next few days. Sam Yarnell, great job by you as always. Thanks to Bill Bender. Thanks to Jerry Bonkowski. Thanks to all of you at home for watching. Again, SportsWrap Shorts on our SportsWrap with Jason Page YouTube channel, the place for everything as it relates to NFL free agency. Keep it locked in there. We'll have you covered over the next couple of days, so make sure to keep it locked in there. We'll see you back here on Tuesday for another edition of SportsWrap. For Sam Yarnell, I'm Jason. We'll see you later.